Good morning. We'll go ahead and start the regular meeting of the Monterey Peninsula Airport District Board of Directors. It is November 15th and 9:04 a.m. Mr. Pick will be joining us in about an hour, I believe. So we'll see him on the screen when he gets here. Call to order, roll call.
Director Gagliardi. Here. Director Pick. I'm sorry, Director Pick's not here yet. Director Leffel.
Here.
Director Miller.
Here.
And Chair Soni.
Here. Pledge of allegiance. Mr. LaPierre, would you mind?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Communication and informational announcements. Anything?
Two from staff. Let's make sure this is on. First of all, I just wanted to inform the board that Friday and Saturday of last week, members of my staff held an exhibit hall space for the marathon, for the half marathon. It was a rousing success. We had United as a partner, and United was here en masse to help support. And what the organizers of the event tell us are that our booth was the most visited and most mentioned booth of all of the various vendors that were there. So I just wanted to comment that staff has done an amazing job with that event, and it really paid benefits. And then secondly, this is as of last evening when we learned that Alaska Airlines Seattle service will take a hiatus completely December 7th through February 15th. The stated purpose is seasonality. That we seem to have a little bit of a hard time filling Seattle flights during the winter season. But we'll know more when we see them in December, early December. I have a meeting with them on the 6th. So just didn't want any surprises when you start hearing from your constituents about Alaska Airlines and their cessation of the Seattle service.
What are the dates again?
7th through the 15th.
December
7th of
7th.
December through the 15th of January.
How are they
Date that
notifying
lives in
people?
infamy.
They are not. And that's the discussion we had. So we will take that.
So if you have a reservation,
Apparently
December
this has
7th
been
to
in the
7th.
system for 3 weeks, and they don't think that there are any people that aren't already notified.
so they didn't have any advanced reservations in that. Well, no wonder they
I don't
canceled.
know that. Yeah, I don't know that, but we had that long discussion. We're going to take advantage of the opportunity to notify our flyers, however. So, beyond that, they continue to tell me that the market is strong. It's good. It's nothing to do with market performance other than seasonality. So.
Is there anything contractually that we have with carriers that gives us some lead time?
No,
There isn't.
no. That kind of decision falls under the Deregulation Act from
Okay.
the DOT.
Okay.
From federal government, so they can come and go as they please.
Yeah.
We do not maintain a deposit for that very reason.
And in your in your, I guess, experience with the kind of our public relations and our, I would say, our industry consultants, who takes the public hit on that? I mean, does the carrier take it if they cancel flights?
No, you can look forward to being the brunt of all of the concern anytime something like this happens.
Yeah.
In most people's eyes, we are the airline and the airport, and we run everything.
Okay.
So now but you should know that that to date this year, Alaska's been very, very strong. They're running in the 80% load factors during the summer months. You should also know that last winter, you remember what kind of weather we had, and everything was was depressed because of that. No,
Yeah.
we had limited travel. We had good numbers, but they weren't phenomenal numbers. Hotels were down significantly in terms of occupancy because of the bad weather we had. I think this is Mike speak. I think it's an overreaction on the part of Alaska
Yeah.
from last year's performance.
I think it's unfortunate because we have a lot of families that have children who go to school up there and they're hitting it when they're going to be bringing them home for the holidays. I don't think it's very respectful of our community. And I'm not talking about the tourism. I'm talking about the people who have family who go back and forth from there. So did we already put it out on social media
No,
today?
learned of it last night. We'll put it out today when this meeting is over.
Okay, in a conversation I had earlier this week with another body, there was a big discussion about the fact that we do not communicate across all bands of opportunity and that we don't communicate over and over on something and reinforce it. So I just want to say, whatever we can do to put it out every single day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. You just never know when somebody's going to look. And I know you're not a social media guy, but I am. And I know Lisa and I will pick it up and spread it wildly. But it's got to be so that the community knows. And I'm sad about Alaska. I think this is not a good way to treat us.
I do not disagree.
I have a question on the thing on Friday, Saturday, or whenever it was, the half marathon. In that booth, did we collect emails of everybody that came there?
No, we do not. We do not connect emails. Because it's a we're selling the United product with the airport itself. So what we are encouraging are the participants to register for 2 free tickets if they are frequent, if they have their Mileage Plus number with United. And if they don't, we help them either find it or register for it. So United gets that information by all the people that choose to register for the opportunity for the 2 free ticket giveaway option.
Okay, can I suggest that in the future that we have a sheet that is it's their opportunity and it's our opportunity to collect them so that we can add them to our email list, because our email list really hasn't grown that much. And it seems to me that that's a really good way to have people who are interested. I mean, 2 free tickets, no wonder we had the most popular booth. Beats the hell out of another coffee
Shots
mug. But honestly, I think we should start every opportunity we get collecting whoever is around, because those are people who are here and they'll probably come back again for another half marathon or a marathon, or they may be community members that don't know about us. So I would just love to suggest that we do that.
You know what, eventually we're gonna have the strategy session. I think that social media is an important part that I want to bring up in that strategy session. And I totally agree, like in the near future, we should definitely be capturing that. Part of that social media strategy will be at any event, is that we just have these little plastic placard or whatever that's got the QR code. And people just come up and they just go boom, and it's it's just instantaneous. And the people who are very active on social media, that's exactly how they're going to the handwriting it. They may or may not. We'll capture some people, but I think the QR code. But to your point, this is part of that larger strategy. Kind of, what are we going to do with our social media? And I definitely have that conversation.
I think the genesis of the report was to compliment my staff on a job well done.
Mike, I'm not taking away from that.
No, I
I'm
know.
just giving an opportunity
Sure,
that we can
sure.
expand it and make it better, because there are employees, they're out there representing us. And it would be better if we can collect as much information as possible. I love our staff. I love what you do. I have no fault with you being there. I have no fault with anything. I'm asking you just to make it one more step and make it a little bit better.
And we'll take that advice, definitely. I just didn't want this to devolve into a discussion about social media, because it really is supposed to be just a congratulations and a recognition of staff at this time. We hear what you're saying and we'll have those discussions.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that.
We love all of you. QR codes.
All right, other communications announcements?
I do. There is a meeting from 3 to 7 tonight at the Laguna Seca Hospitality Room. And it is with the Transportation Agency in Monterey County. And they are doing a public look at their environmental report and what they are recommending for roundabouts as opposed to maybe sequencing and something else. So if you have an opportunity to go by to have an opinion on that, or to hear kind of what the Highway 68 corridor is having their opinions on, because I imagine they'll be out there in full. You don't have to be there from 3 to 7. It'll start at 3. It's going to end at 7. They will be walking around. They'll have storyboards, and they'll be available for you to talk to and to ask questions. So, and then it's again on December 6th at the Monterey Conference Center from 3 to 7. So you have 2 opportunities to go. If you have an opinion, I'll be there. But it's, I think it's important. Carl and I both talked to Todd Muck yesterday, and, I encouraged him to start with the roundabout out here at Olmsted while we've already got some stuff torn up, and to start there. But they moved their start from the west end to the east end. So it'll be kind of interesting, but this is our chance to have a voice.
And there still is a push not to have roundabouts, but to do a signaling sequencing.
Is that still in the, yeah?
Yeah, it's still,
Kinda,
still being revisited.
Right.
So
there's,
this is the last step of the sequel.
there's 3 of them, aren't there? Are there just 2? But 3,
They think they have, it depends on the
Meeting.
3 they work. Oh, yeah, there are 3 meetings.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Well,
That's
one's gone.
funny. Oh, one's already happened.
One's happened.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All right, we'll go to public comments on non-agenda items. Anyone in the audience? We're doing online as well, correct? Don't see any attendees online. And those in the audience are here to participate in our our meeting, I believe. But just wait another second and confirm that we don't have any public comment today on non-agenda items. I'll now go ahead and close that. We'll move forward to consent agenda action items. We have 4 items.
I'd like to
Anyone?
pull item E4.
I'll move approval on items 1 through 3.
Roll call.
Director Cagliotti. Director Leffel,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Chair Sani.
Yes. And now to your pulled item.
I just wanted to be included in that. If you could add my name to attend the AAAE conference in Nashville in April, I believe.
I think our attorney is saying it's okay.
Yeah.
Facetious way.
I'll move approval for item 4
All right.
Just again, move approval as amended,
as amended.
and the second, we have. As
John. All in favor? Roll call.
Director Gagliotti. Director Leffel,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Chair Sani.
Yes. Now we go to our regular agenda action items. First up is the proclamation and recognition of Woody's at the airport being voted #1 sit-down restaurant, airport restaurant by USA Today's 10 Best Readers Choice Awards poll. And we have the pleasure of having Mr. Tim Wood with us as well. We understand you've been a little bit more busy lately with.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Hey, Tim, move over in front of the screen or something, not in front of the donuts.
Just come over, just go over and
Is
say.
it my good side?
You have that side.
Yeah. You don't wanna see it.
Tim, really quickly, can I get a picture of you and, oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Move that way. There. Nah, I want that. Yeah. Lisa, go by him.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. Couldn't have done it without this community or everyone in this room. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations, well-deserved reward and
Hang
recognition.
this bid in front of the rest.
Okay,
I'm going to work, so please excuse me.
you still need one more signature on that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Dino's,
Do you want to give it to
Cross country.
Denise?
we'll
Dino's
we'll
out of
get it
town,
delivered to you.
And then we'll give it to you.
Sounds good.
Congratulations, Tim.
Thanks, guys.
And Tim, they wouldn't have chosen you if you didn't have a good product when they came through. So congratulations.
Well, it's definitely a very big award and a very big deal. And I thank you all for your support. And now I'm just gonna go back to work. Thank you.
Go make us some money.
Yeah. What I do, right?
Yeah. Do we need to approve that? It said we did. So I'll move that we approve the proclamation.
Second,
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Leffel,
Yes.
Director Miller,
yes,
Chair Son.
Yes. The second item is a presentation on our marketing and public relations report by Mr. Chidlaw of Chidlaw Marketing.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Chris.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you again. Are we ready to? And I hit the right click, is that right? I think with the news earlier, we might need to change some of our creative. You might want to take Seattle out.
Yeah, I think there will be some adjustments. Yeah.
Well, hello, everybody. Again, I'm here with the marketing public relations, kind of representing our team, led by Chris. Of course, Amanda that does our social media, and then Marcy with Buzz PR, who helps us with the public relations on a local and more importantly, on a national level. Our marketing highlights. Now, this again is for.
Try the left.
Not working? Is it turned on?
Looks so green, that picture, doesn't it?
My IT director. is horrible, man. He's bad.
Your title doesn't say IT guy?
And then my computer goes, it's panic. Marketing highlights. Again, this is July through October of this past year, a very busy year for us. So during that time, our television, all of our advertising, this is a marketing part of it. Of course, focused on the one-stop connections that we do to Party Monterey to destinations across the country and the world. Of course, in all of our marketing like that, it's the ease and convenience of this airport that we talked about as our #1 strategy. And then we build off that. We continue to promote the multiple cities and airlines, Alaska to Seattle, United to Denver, American, Dallas, and Phoenix. We also do mention San Diego, San Francisco, and LA, but the bigger ones are our main focus in the marketing. We also, during that time, produced a new holiday spot that is currently running that's going to come to an end here in a week or so. We produced it in Spanish as well. So we now, as we spoke before, have English and Spanish commercials going. We had a meeting the other day and our focus will now switch to spring, summer travel, highlight spring training in Arizona. And we're also going to throw a plug in there for Florida too, to take Dallas to Florida, where a lot of teams are also doing spring training. We also, of course, have the AT&T coming up as well. And all of that will, again, to continue to focus on the ease and convenience of this airport and the different cities and the connectivity that it offers to the rest of the world, literally.
Can I ask as you go?
Oh,
Can-
sure.
Can we, okay, so you
Yes.
need to add Alaska to San Diego, maybe?
Yeah, like I said, we do promote San Diego and San Francisco. It's not as prominent as the other one. So the commercials have that, but we will do that. Sure.
Especially in the winter time when
Yeah,
people are trying to go south to get warm.
We always promote all the cities, but again, we put more emphasis on Seattle, Denver, Phoenix, and Dallas.
Well,
for obvious
Seattle is
reasons.
toast.
So local news on KSBW, we literally do that every month. We like to keep a nice exposure on the news. We've talked about before, they are such the dominant leader in news. It's a perfect demographic for the airport as well, being a 40+ crowd. I know we want younger people too, but the reality is those are the people who are flying more. We also focus a lot on golf. Again, I think that's for obvious reasons with our community. It's also a very upscale audience watching golf. Giants baseball we were doing during the summertime, the All-Star game, and then of course the Women's World Cup. We're all set to watch them go to the finals or something. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. They lost relatively early, so that was kind of a bummer. But in sports, that happens. In August, again, more news, more golf, and then football season kicks in with some preseason football. September came around, and this is where television really gets fun. The audiences in the fall go up dramatically. Summertime's over, plus you have a thing called the National Football League. So many eyeballs start being on the television sets during this time. Again, local news continues, the Ryder Cup, which had huge ratings, we were at. And then again, 49ers and Raider football. And, you know, we talk about reaching Hispanics, and although they're in Las Vegas now, the highest audience you can possibly reach in Hispanics is Raider football. I mean, they continue, they're mad that they're in Las Vegas, but they still, it's in their blood to be Raider fans. And if they ever win a playoff game or something, just go to Salinas if you don't think there's Raider fans in Salinas. It's off the hook. And of course, the 49ers, it helps that they're playing so well. They had a brief little down period there, but they're back because that just brings ratings up, eyeballs. We're getting massive amounts of eyeballs when you advertise in these 49ers Raider football games. Continue to do little baseball. And again, in October, same strategy, hit the local news, do the biggest splash with the football games, the little World Series. And we also did a promotion with KRML, Rebels and Renegades, excuse me, which was a concert out at the fairgrounds, which got huge, we got a huge exposure on their station for that. We're also still doing print ads. We had some print ads in the Carmel magazine, which we believe is a great audience, the Carmel magazine, of course, the Salinas Chamber, and then the Salinas Farm Bureau. We place ads in those publications as well. So that's sort of been our marketing focus that will continue as we move forward. We'll continue through November, December, January, and hopefully through February, you know, with the Niners leading it, local news, we'll do some holiday spots, and then the NFL playoffs coming up, which again, huge audiences for the airport. I'm sure if you guys watch the 49ers or football, you've probably, I have seen your commercial in the games.
Chris, could I ask a question?
Yeah.
A lot of this is sports related, and
Yes.
is that where there are most eyeballs?
Yeah, so the
on
television become
TV.
news and sports. You know, it used to be prime time 20 years ago. That's really gone down. Nobody really watching a lot of prime time because you have so many choices. You know, it's just not the same. I think I made a reference about Mary Tyler Moore last time I was here, but I'll leave that one alone. But it's just not the same. And so where advertisers, that's why football is so big, because advertisers know sporting events people watch. People will watch sporting events and local news. They don't tape them. They just want to sit there and watch it. That's why what's running TV these days is local news and sports. And it makes obvious sense.
Yeah, and some of these are in Spanish. You said that
Yes,
earlier, and that was
yes.
actually one of my questions
Yes,
as well.
Yes. we're
So
not
I think
running
it is a
Spanish news.
great opportunity to
my-
reach out.
I'm sorry, my
and
bad. I
other-
should have updated that slide with Spanish news on
Okay.
there. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you know, Raider football, and I always like to point this out. I don't know why I feel obligated to, but I think it's important that we reach so many Hispanics just on regular TV, KSBW News, football, all that. The Spanish stations did a great job years ago of convincing advertisers that if your surname is Hispanic, that you only watch Hispanic TV. Well, we all know that's just completely not true. And in fact, the Spanish TV does not reach that many Hispanics. The English television stations reach more Hispanics than the Spanish does. Now we're going to do Spanish because it's a certain audience, but when you're in those football games and you're in those baseball games and you're in KSBW, you're reaching thousands and thousands and thousands of Hispanic viewers.
Are we doing anything at the union?
Yes. Yes.
Do we have,
I
we
have
have
a
ads?
thing on that.
We have
Yeah.
our,
Yes,
we do
yeah,
have,
that-
I think we're like by the goal. post, aren't we?
Yeah, we're right
Yeah.
behind it there.
Which is a
And the
great
good news is
replacement
that
too.
It's, I think we're getting a little lucky. But whenever I see KSBW highlights of the Union Soccer, I always see the logo MRY in the background. I'll just skip to that real quick. Chris and I and Michael met with them. And we're in negotiations, our sponsorship, so we're fully intended to continue the sponsorship. But we're always looking for ways to enhance it, make it better, get more involved. And so they're very receptive. So we're literally, as we speak, waiting for them to come back to us with a proposal that we'll look at. And again, it's 99% that we're going to continue. We just want to make sure we're maximizing our exposure out there.
Great.
But we are
Anybody else?
definitely with
Okay.
the union. On the public relations front, our big ones that we did was the increase in passenger traffic. As you guys have record months, month after month after month, we thought that was a great thing. People like to hear that the airport's doing so well. People like to be associated with good things. And when you're having those kind of stories, we wanted to make sure and get that out. Of course, the $25 million grant, the ribbon cutting for the new flyer, our FCASD grant announcement, and then we've begun with the military lounge coming up this holiday season.
Did we do one on Woody's official one from the airport?
We a press release, yes, and then we ran a couple ads in the I forget some.
I had it too.
And then we also placed ads in the weekly and the Pinecone for Woody as well, congratulating them on behalf of the Monterey Regional Airport. So here again, where the press releases, these are highlights of them. The Monterey increase in passengers, Jimmy Panetta, the two grants, awarded the $750,000 for Chicago, and then again, the holiday military lounge. These stories were picked up by numerous local media. The Herald did a story, KION, about the fire service deal, the Carmel Pinecone on the Chicago flights, the Herald on representing Panetta, KION on the new terminal, KSBW, Brisa Cologne, was out here and about the brand new terminal. James, our friend at the Monterey Herald, that always is doing stories for us about the fire department. It goes on with some more on the federal workers on KION, the weekly, to Chicago. We even got in the weekly, KION, the Herald, Pinecone, weekly, KSBW, Herald. So whenever we put the market is such that they really love this airport. And so whenever we put press releases out, they pick it up. We constantly get coverage from these people. And it's such a small market when it comes to media that if you're on KION, if you're on KSBW, again, the Herald and Pinecone and in the weekly, you pretty much covered, the basis of the PR in the local market. So that's what we're doing. An external, then we're in some stories in San Francisco Magazine. This is where Buzz PR really helped us with all her contacts and the way she can get them out. Golf.com, Salinas Valley Chamber, Aviation Pros, Airline Geeks, Patch, American Journal of Transportation. So all of these different organizations and media outlets picked up on our press releases through the country. And I know Michael's very big on trying to get as many national coverage as we can. And then some travel alerts came out about the increase in military traffic, southbound 1 ramp closure, intimate travel delays. So these were all things that we made sure and got the word out as well as part of our public relations campaign. Roach, yes.
Could I just bring you, I want to just acknowledge, I don't know if anybody else has comment too. I want to acknowledge how this has greatly improved.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Really, really has, and just how much more
Yeah.
knowledge is out there, our press releases, how we're able to communicate to our constituents and the community as a whole. So I want to applaud that and thank you for that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that because we have, again, with Chris and Michael and Amanda and Marcy, we're trying to get out there as much as we can. The roadshow, we were out to different organizations. Again, we have more coming up. Right now, the roadshow is on a little bit of a hiatus, only because we're updating the presentation. We just recently updated the video, and then some of the slides need updating as well. We talk about stuff that needs updating. We don't need to talk about 21, 22 accomplishments. We're talking about 22, 23 accomplishments, load factors. So right now we're in the process of updating the roadshow, and then we'll get ready to rock and roll again next year. to get as many groups as we can. We've talked about this before, but every time we do that presentation, Michael and I, or myself, or just Michael, it's amazing the response we get. People love it. Questions come in, everybody just loves the airport and loves what we tell them about the airport. So it's very good news, very, very good news. A lot of places we still need to get to. And again, once the roadshow is updated, we'll get back out there. Other projects, sponsorships, which I know are very important to some of you or all of you of the board. We're also trying to get out and about to as many organizations as possible. Artichoke Festival, we got involved with the golf tournament, the rodeo, of course, the air show, of course, Farnborough Golf Tournament, the MCHA Golf Tournament. I'm kind of golfed out, to be honest. Pure Insurance Championship, and then our community partnerships that we continue to increase. The Aptos Chamber of Commerce, I actually went to their annual dinner they had a couple of weeks ago. Carmel Chamber, Monterey Peninsula Chamber, San Luis Valley Chamber. As we mentioned, we are in the process of a new contract with the union. We also just wrapped up our presentation with the Big Sur, which will continue. We're in talks with the Jazz Festival as well. So next year to see what we can do with the Jazz Festival. We're talking to other organizations as well, because again, I get it, how important it is for us to be tied to as many local projects as we possibly can be. And the people, they like the Airports Association and all these partnerships. I would say that, we have tremendous relationships with these events. I mean, it just seems to be working, as you mentioned, the Big Sur and the union. We will hopefully put together a really nice sponsorship for that as well. So that's really what we have today. So we got the marketing, we have the PR, we have the local community, we have the road show. Appreciate the nice words from the chair. And we're just going to keep hammering at it. Many people don't know us and all the good things about the airport. Again, press releases coming up. We're looking at, spring, summer travel, spring training, AT&T. There's going to be a new art exhibit coming that we'll do. So there's things in the works for the first quarter. So thank you. And I'm sure you have a few questions.
Go ahead and open it up.
Or I hope you have a few.
No, I do. Thank you very much. I actually really like these things. It's an interesting industry. The aviation industry is really interesting. Our channels, and you kind of heard earlier on, primarily how we are communicating is through our website, and then the placements that we make in other channels. Where is this connected to our social media presence, or is that like the area that we could work on?
I would say that's probably an area we can work on. There's not a lot of connection. They're connected, and the messaging is the same. You try to keep
It's channels.
Yeah, it's just channels.
Yeah.
And so we're doing the thing there, and then Amanda's doing her thing on social media. But there's always room for improvement between the two, and that's what we talked about in the meeting as well.
And I'll talk a little bit more. So you'll see the report in your packet from the social media component.
Yeah.
So they work in tangent. So, and Amanda sits with us when we're having our meetings, and we work together on what are the press releases, those immediately, everything you saw in there is on our website.
Yeah.
It's been posted on our social media platforms. And then if there's something that comes from social media, we get that to the marketing team to do press releases on. So we work back and forth. So they both do work together. This presentation is typically just the PR marketing side, but the social media piece 100% is walking together with it. And that's in the packet in the back of it with the rest of the stuff.
Okay. And the beauty, I think, of social media is the metrics, and you can capture real time, that.
You have to be careful with those metrics though, too, having been doing this for a long time, because they can get a little, I never liked that the company that you're doing business with, Google, also is in charge of telling you how well they're doing, It's an independent third party like a TV and stuff does it. So, I think sometimes those numbers are kind of like, but that's what you go with.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Chris, March 5th, I think, is the primary.
Oh.
And I would ask us, because a lot of our people who vote are older and they watch the Sunday news. And I think we found that a couple years ago. So I would suggest that maybe we buy some spots just coming into that primary, maybe. in-
The CBS Sunday Morning or the Sunday News in general?
I think it was KION, wasn't
Actually,
it?
we do buy KSBW Saturday and Sunday news.
Okay, but I think it was the talk shows on
Okay, sure.
Sunday morning that
Jason mentioned.
Julianne Lozano told us what the viewers were watching, and I think that's part of our market of
Absolutely.
who flies. So maybe just in February and get it.
Yeah. Face the nation and meet the press.
Yeah, that stuff. And then this is not you, this is us with staff, but I think it's time to update our economic report and do it as of June 30th of 2023, because our story is really good to tell. And it's, when I look at our roadshow,
Yeah.
it's old,
Yeah. That's
you
why-
know, and I think we really need to update it and have it so that when you go out, you have the up-to-date story and a really good story. So
That's why we came out here and filmed. It's probably been a month ago or so. And all the new things that are in the terminal, I know they've been here a while, but we needed so, and that's what we did with the video. It's completely updated with the new jets, the new signage, the new carpet, the new look. I mean, and that's what we're doing with the slides as well, to talk about what's going on now. Because you're right, it's such a good story.
yeah, it was pre-COVID. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have anything to talk about very much for about 2.5 years, but we've definitely come back. And so I think it's time to tell everybody that. So thank you. And thank you for the update.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you also. I think it's a very coordinated and focused campaign. I especially appreciate that the number of press releases going out. And the remarkable thing is they're all being picked up, it looks like.
Yeah.
Rarely does something go unreported.
Yeah.
So every press release is gaining some knowledge. And you're right, Mr. Herrera at the Herald, he's not on staff, but you would think he was.
It's amazing.
Some of the reports he's done with great coverage, you know, front page, top fold, picture of the airport, and it's stuff you really can't even pay for.
Right.
So great job, thank you.
And I have to say, led by Chris, that we're very selective on our press releases. We're not going to just throw one out there. We want.
And that's the key, you don't want to flood them because it diminishes the importance of them. So,
Another thing from the airport, another thing from the airport.
and then there is an art to writing them. Who's writing the press release?
We have Marcy Buzz PR and her team is writing it.
Okay,
You don't want me, right?
okay. No, they're doing
we
a great job. Doing a great job, thank you.
Panetta gives us money. Yes.
I
Anything
think
else?
that's, no, appreciate
I
the
don't-
presentation
I
and
don't want that to come up here yet, so maybe I'll just. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, we are on to item number 3. Second Amendment to Agreement for Professional Services between Monterey Peninsula Airport District and Cole Huber LLP.
Correct. This is a discussion topic from the last board meeting. It is time for us to renew our legal services contract. Cole Huber has been our attorney of record for over a decade now. And their contract is expiring at the end of the year. The proposal is to extend that contract for a 6-month period and at board direction, begin an RFP process for services, for legal services for the next 5 years, I would think the contract would be. It's appropriate that we on occasion take a look at the market. I will tell you that from a staff standpoint, we are extremely pleased working with Mr. Huber and his team in Roseville. And it is with great pleasure that I ask you to approve the Second Amendment to the agreement with Cole Huber LLP.
Question.
Yes.
when was the last time we went out for RFPs?
About 13 years ago,
Okay,
2011.
14 years ago. Yeah, it's been quite some time. And just so the record's clear, Government Code 1090 prohibits me from sitting as district council while I also have an interest in a contract that's presented before you. That's why I'm not sitting there. I'm over here. We typically will have outside counsel sign off on these agreements, and we'll do that in this instance as well. But I just want to make that so the record's clear, which is why I'm standing here and not there. Yeah, there's the last time an RFP was done was, I think, 13 years ago, thereabouts, when we became district council. It is always good to, to go out to RFP to see what's available to you. It also gives you the ability to tell members of the public, hey, even though we have the same attorney, and again, assuming that you want to continue with my services, which is not a foregone conclusion, I understand that, but in the event that you do, you'll be able to say, we went out to the market, we interviewed people, and we like who we have. That's fine. And if you decide you like someone much better, we will remain friends. That's okay. But that's why I think it is, this 6-month extension gives you the ability to take the time to do an RFP. It also will have the contract run concurrently with the fiscal year, so that any adjustment in cost can be planned for and budgeted. I hate to say it, everything is getting more expensive, including legal services. And so that's, you're going to want to obviously budget for whatever those adjustments may need to be. So.
And one point I did not make is that during the 6-month term, the contract terms will remain the same. So it's $9,500 per month on a retainer.
Other questions?
No, I don't have any questions. We talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about this in finance, and we totally supported it coming forward. We believe it's the right thing to do, and it will be really good to get with our end of our fiscal year so that we know how we're budgeting.
Yeah.
Because your firm isn't always, if you are selected, is not always really on time with billing.
That is true. We are, I freely admit that.
Well, I'm just saying, so this will give us more of an opportunity to understand that we've got money in whatever fiscal year of whoever we select. So I would move that we approve this extension, second amendment for professional services between Monterey Peninsula Airport District and Cole Huber LLP.
second,
Director Gagliardi? Director Leffel?
Yes. Did I hear that you're gonna have somebody else sign this? It's not,
Yes.
so I will approve,
I didn't
I guess
comment.
we'll amend that it'll be with
Yeah.
not your signature on it.
No, my signature will be on it, but there will be outside counsel. And I'm thinking usually we use Lori Balance or someone else who is representing the
Thank you,
district,
Chris.
who will act as your special
Yeah.
counsel for this particular agreement. Does that make sense? So I can't be your attorney on a contract that I have an interest in because I'm an owner of the firm or one of the owners.
Yeah, you're up there selling us, but I'm,
So my name would be on it, but someone else would sign as your attorney. In other
that's
words,
what I'm
someone-
saying.
Yeah, I think there's a little miscommunication.
Is this gonna be, you're gonna sign here that you're approving it as this, but where is Lori Balance gonna be on this?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and we do have to make a change, and I think that's the.
Is that
Special counsel?
the same as the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, Lori will have to sign us as.
Yeah,
our attorney.
Lori Balance will sign a.
That's what I was asking,
Okay, I'm sorry, yes.
because this is in front of me, so I am amending my motion that we approve this, but without your signature.
And before your motion,
Hmm?
I'd like to ask for public comment.
Okay.
Before your motion. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up for public comment. This is on the legal services agreement with Cole Huber LLP. Seeing no one online and no one in the audience, I'll go ahead and no, please. Thank you.
So I move that we approve the second amendment, but without Mr. Huber's signature on
Yeah,
it.
we can have my partner Derek Cole sign.
Still money going to your firm.
Well,
It is.
it is, but someone from my firm has to sign it. Otherwise, we don't have you don't have an agreement with my firm.
Okay, so you are confusing me. Then why the hell do we need Lori Balance to sign something? Because
Because-
that's what I heard.
Because I'm signing it not as your attorney, I'm signing it as a member of the firm who you're entering into a contract with.
I get that, but where does
You
Lori
still
come
need-
into it?
Lori comes into it as your special counsel. So my signature is on the top line. Lori's will be underneath it as approved as the form.
So she would be our counsel at that
Exactly.
point.
So my signature goes along with the firm name. Lori Balance would be Monterey's attorney.
So we're gonna have 3 signature lines on this.
Special counsel?
Yes. Yeah, we would have 3 signature lines. We would have one from Scott's firm. We'd have Lori Balance as your attorney of record on this matter, and then we'd have me as your representative.
That's correct.
I just want to make sure we
Yeah.
know what we're
Yeah, yeah.
approving.
And the form does not have that final signature block, so we'll fix that. Doesn't have a signature block.
It's got special counsel.
Are you agreeing to this
Yes,
amendment? How
whatever.
confusing it is?
I agree to whatever you're talking about.
We're gonna have 3 signatures on this.
3 signatures on it and 2 attorneys and.
Yeah.
All right, I think we could go ahead and do.
Director
vote.
Gagliardi. Director Lapo,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes,
Chair Sani.
Yes. All right, 9:50, and we move on to our presentation of general aviation update. Who would like to?
I'll tee it off. This is in response to some questions from Director Gagliardi last month and really in response to the near completion of the hangar project on the north side. We thought it would be appropriate to give you an update on that project and the process of moving folks from the south side to the north side. So Chris and Matt Wright will give you a little presentation or a little discussion about that matter.
So I'll tee it up before Matt and just walk you through a bit of what's been adopted in the master plan as it relates to general aviation improvements at the airport. So this document is the environmentally superior alternative that was adopted in the master plan. I've also included our ALP, our airport layout plan that has these potential projects on it that were approved by the FAA as well, but that has a lot more lines on it as well too, because it shows all of the components that are looked at an airfield. But so let me just start with a few things that we have completed on this. Then Matt will talk about the project itself and where we're at with Monterey Fuel Company's construction of the hangars, and then I'll take it back to additional future projects that we have on our ALP that aren't done yet. So starting in 2020, which is when we started the master plan was adopted. This is the addendum to the master plan, but we did have an adopted master plan. We started with the runway, the small general aviation runway. We did an overlay project and we installed PAPIs there. So those were part of the master plan future projects. So those were completed in 2020. Then we went on and constructed in 2021. We got the grants for the vehicle service road and the civil components of the northeast ramp location. So those were constructed in 21 and finished up in 2022. And that vehicle service road extension allowed us to use that as our haul route for that project, for the ramp project, as well as all the future projects that we've been doing in that corner of the airport. So that was the haul route as well for our facility and all of the hangars, the hangar construction. So that was completed with grant funding. And then the civil component of that northeast ramp, which is all the infrastructure underneath the ground and as well as the pavement, was completed as well in 2021, 22. Post that project, the board approved this fiscal year or in this calendar year, the purchase agreement with Monterey Fuel Company for the hangars. So I'll let Matt come up and talk about the status of those projects at this point.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Want it? It is-
Mhm.
Okay.
For
Good
recording.
morning, Chair Sani, board members. Matthew Wright, I'm the General Manager, Vice President from Monterey Fuel Company. We are your constructor on this north side project to basically replace the assets that are going to be deconstructed on the south side and make way for the terminal. Just to refresh your recollection on the project, we're building two 100 by 100 prefab metal hangar buildings. One of those will house our current avionics provider and our current aircraft mechanic provider that currently lease space in the GEM hangar on the south side. That's Cord Aero and Aerial Avionics. And then we're also constructing 24 box hangars, single aircraft box storage hangars that we will sell back to the airport, as well as 30 nested T hangars that are really meant to replace the existing nested T hangars on the south ramp. So all in all, we're not really adding too much additional capacity for GA aircraft users. We aren't losing any capacity. If you count the 10,000 square feet that the airport will have, adding with that box hangar, we'll actually have a little bit more space than when we started with for expansion. Another key component to this project that I know our GA users are very interested in is the fuel. You know, it goes without saying, it's a long drive from the south side to the north side for full service fuelings. We need to have a self-serve option for our value GA tenants, and that will be constructed. As a matter of the plan has been submitted to the properties department, is currently undergoing review, and once we get that permitted, we'll start that construction. I would imagine after the first of the year. That will be a value add for the airport, in going along with our commitment to being environmentally conscious with our footprint in our business. You all know we made a pretty substantial commitment to sustainable aviation fuel a number of years ago as the launch customer for AvFuel and sustainable aviation fuel. We're continuing that commitment, and we're going to construct two 6,000 gallon tanks, self-serve, on the north side, on the south end of the airport's small box hangars, the 24 box hangars. One of those will be for 100 low lead, which is the aviation fuel that is most commonly in use now. The other will be used for one of the approved unleaded avgas options. So the farm will be able to utilize any of the types that are approved. Right now, there's two main types that are authorized. So we'll see as the time comes what the demand is in talking with our GA community members, and also kind of surveying how it's working for other surrounding airports that have adopted some or all use of unleaded avgas. So that's an overview of the project. We're almost done. So we started this on, we submitted the package permitting on February 6th, and currently
on November 17th, we should have PG&E come connect the meters, which is kind of the last important part of this project. The structures are all, for the most part, completed, and tenants of both the airport and of Monterey Fuel Company have started moving personal property items over to the new structures. We've made that available to the airport tenants. Because the ramp has not been opened for aircraft yet, nobody's moved an aircraft over there yet, but after the 17th, we should be able to do that. Just provided the airport checks the box and says it's safe. And once the ramp is opened up, we'll move everybody over to the north side. So yeah, that's my update. What is today? 2 days.
2 days. Friday.
Sure.
I'd say if you want to ask questions of Matt, that would be great. And then I will just wrap it up with the future projects that are on the ALP or on the master plan for general aviation that we don't have funding identified for yet, but
Before
Before we get to your update, I definitely would like to open the public comment
Yep.
to ask
Yep.
questions directly to Matt while he wasn't there. But I also have questions too, which may.
Before I bring it to the dais, I was going to do public comment. So
Okay.
Matt, if you don't
Yeah.
mind, I'll go ahead and open it for public comment. And is there anybody online? Denise, can you check, confirm, and go ahead?
Hi, I'm Matt Pascaloniak, one of the hangar tenants. I just want to offer a couple of kudos. The initial opening up of being able to start moving over there was a little rough. I think we've smoothed out a lot of those things there. The general contractor, Steve, has been great about working with us over there. Without the electricity being attached, the only way you can get the hangar doors, the big hangar doors, would be down to the generator. So they've been real good working with that and working with us to get inside the hangars to complete it. Great to hear about the fuel farm, and I had a question as to whether, I know there's plans, but what time frame for the pylons that are going to go in the ramp there. And I'm really angry that you guys took up all the hangars with the bay.
Yeah, we did what?
You were the bay.
Their construction.
Oh, the Bayview.
On the west side. Yeah. But Steve's been great and I appreciate his help.
Thank you. Any other comments? And nobody's online, go ahead and bring you back. And then I'll go ahead and open it to the dais. I know both Director Miller and John, do you want to start? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
You're here on Steve. I went to high school with you and yes.
John, you want to step up to the microphone? They're recording.
Yeah, here on Steve Sternetta. He's been amazing to work with. I do have somewhat of a punch list and I've been somewhat working with Steve, but I just wanted to kind of inform you is that the fire protection, the sprinklers, they're leaking. And I'm sure you probably have already heard of this, but yeah, so that's something, and it seems to be kind of all of them. So that was that. Power, glad to hear that the 17th, I mean, we had to move in and out. Actually, no, we did lift the door and then Steve closed it on Sunday night. And so we did get a lot of stuff in. I really appreciated the Avila is just really wanting to help expedite this. So I'm going to get another kudos for Avila. There's been a couple of pop tires. The screws are still, they were supposed to be swept, but Paul Bruno actually his tire got popped, and he works on construction sites. And so there was some kind of irony in that. Anyway, that's something that we've also taken up directly with Steve, but it does need to be probably swept again. Those were just kind of like the immediate punches. The power, of course, is going to really make a big change. On the timing on the fuel, assuming everything gets say you start construction mid-January after that, how long does that construction take?
So the contractor that we've selected, who was also recommended and used extensively by our supplier, have fuel, so they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think if Patricia was here, she could vouch for that, the plans that they submitted, right? I mean, they're all over it. According to them, there's no sort of supply chain hiccups that we might have seen.
Yeah,
during
that's-
the pandemic. That
yeah.
we kind of, may have faced a little bit of that when we launched this project for the hangars. So I'm estimating 1st of June,
Okay,
somewhere around there.
so it's like a 4 or
And
5 month.
I do want to make a comment about the fueling, because I know there's been actually you complained about the time you had to wait for the fueling, right?
I was gonna say that.
We're-
Yeah, please, yeah.
We're trying to be conscientious about that. Part of the change that we will make, once the north is active, is the 100 low lead fuelings will now be completed primarily by Jet Center and not Del Monte.
Okay,
They're a little bit closer.
yeah,
I've had some conversations with Michael Halpern, who's our operations manager. You might have met him. We're actually going to add some staff to make sure that we're at least for the interim time period until we have that self-serve option, that we're being as conscientious about it as we possibly can. So,
is there an opportunity to schedule? Do either fueling services have that ability to work from a schedule, or does everything have to be real time, call it?
I'm not sure how it would work.
Yeah,
Most people,
they just call when they're
whether
out
it's a
there.
whether guys flying the Bonanza or the guy flying the Gulfstream.
Yeah,
Kind of come and go when they want to.
right.
And when they land, they expect to get their
Exactly.
services right then. So I mean, we've given some thought to just parking some guy over there.
Yeah,
Especially on the weekends.
yeah,
Where, we've got the $100 hamburger flights going on.
that's right.
And that's a possibility, but of course, that's, it's labor intensive. It
Yep.
takes an employee out of service. It puts the 100 low lead truck on the north side. We have 200 low lead trucks, so the ones that, the transients that will still use the FBO ramps, will still have that option. So we're looking at that. I mean, without making that promise standing here today, I want to see how it works with increasing our staff, switching the primary from Del Monte to Jet Center to service the north side, and just hopefully we get some better results. And part of, part of the issue with people having to wait on the south and having Del Monte do the fueling is the great job the airport's done with getting more airlines, because the airlines are all done by Del Monte as well. So, we have a limited number of staffing of between 3 and 5 line guys per shift.
Yeah,
And the airlines all come in banks.
yep,
And they gotta be fueled right away,
Yes.
or else we get a delay, they get a delay. I'm getting emails, nasty emails from these guys about, we're causing delays, so. It plays into the mix. It's not really an excuse. We ought to be able to work around it, but I think that's sort of what we're experiencing.
would there be, I totally appreciate you, working with the GA community and trying to kind of figure that out. And that has been a kind of a general sentiment from the GAs, that when they have talked to you, they're like, okay, yeah. Is there something that we could do from the GA community that could help make some of these decisions? Could we actually taxi over to either Del Monte or to, and would that make things any better?
Well, it would probably make it quicker to get fueling. You're gonna laugh at me for saying this, but people could buy more fuel, and then it makes more sense to have more staff.
Yeah.
And base the truck over there. So And we, strategically, we've made the commitment, price under low lead for the GA community to incentivize that component.
Yeah,
And I know out there, a lot of people think, if fields don't care about GA, they just want the full stream.
sure.
That's the owners of our company, the manager of the company, we all come from GA roots. That's
Yeah,
where
yeah.
We came from, or, we understand that the guy flying the SR-22 today is the guy that's flying the Gulfstream tomorrow. So,
Yeah,
we don't have that sort of preferential treatment of one class over the other. And like I said, I can envision us continuing to promote that through aggressive pricing moving forward. So,
I totally appreciate that. I am trying to think of the interim solution, and it's a temporal problem, it's like when this place is fogged up, you guys are going to sell fuel, but we have a weekend like last weekend and everyone was out, even, I mean, most of us were moving, but there were some of us that had already moved and were flying. If to expedite the fueling process, if they taxied over and it would, I'm just looking for kind of like the immediate solution. Can I just go, hey guys, you can call and you can sit here and who knows how long it'll take. I mean, they'll tell you 10 minutes and it might be an hour, but you could just taxi over and they'll fill you right then.
yeah, right away. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that is a viable solution, but I hate to, make that suggestion to people who are, they pay to park their airplane on the north side and that's an added tax. I mean,
Sure.
I'm okay with that.
I'm just looking for like kind of like you said, like an interim solution. I mean, the steady state is going to be, and we're all going to love it.
Yeah.
It's just having that self-service island right there and having the selection. I mean, there's great things in the future.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, how do we get from here to there?
I mean, I think that would help.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think that I'm keep coming back to in my own mind is we probably just need to have somebody parked over there during certain hours on the weekends.
Yeah. But again,
Not
it's
every-
temporal.
not
It's
every
not, I mean,
day, it
I don't
just
know.
doesn't justify it.
Yeah.
Because it's not that busy, but
It's going to be weather dependent. I mean, that's when
it'll
people.
be weather dependent. But that's probably, that's
The measure.
probably the best solution. It's not necessarily the lowest cost solution.
Right.
but,
Okay. All right.
Can I ask a question on in
Yeah,
regard to
do.
that?
I'm sorry, while I'm thinking about it, one other thing that we can do is promote just local GA pilots to call in on the area before they let, if you're coming back from your road trip to Fresno or something like that, you just, it's like the Gulfstream. You call in your 15, 20 minutes out and say, November 97, 96 Juliet, in 15 minutes out, I'll be at the north side and you know, load that truck. We just got 15 minutes off service time.
Those are definitely for the ones that are outside of here and coming in and then putting in a hangar. But it's those of us who, went out and didn't feel up before we put the plane back in the hangar, and now we want to get out of here. And yeah. I mean, it's on the pilots. I mean, anytime anything happens with pilots, it starts with the pilot. It's the pilot's fault first, and then So I mean, and most of us think like that, so we want to, for situational awareness and everything, we want to solve the problem or figure out the problem or think about the problem before it becomes a problem. So. Yeah. Okay. I appreciate this, Matt. I really do. Thank you.
No, and I was wondering about just calling ahead or if there's a way to get in a queue or if that's how you handle things ultimately is the concern is an half an hour wait to some extent.
It's an hour. I mean, those are the ones been an hour,
Okay.
but it's just, it's because other planes land,
Right.
Yeah. Depends on when you're coming.
Oh,
It's the queue.
Yeah, when you look and you see three aircraft here, you're waiting for a while.
Or if there's dedicated times too. I don't know if that's a value to the GA community, that, if the truck is over there for, I mean, at least certain, like the weekend. But I'll open it up to,
It'll be alleviated to, again, we're putting the onus on Jet Center to do the primary on the north side.
Yeah.
Del Monte gets all the GA stuff during the weekends anyways on their ramp, so which takes time and manpower in addition to the airline. So I'm hoping that it's all of that, all those little components will make for a better.
And we're looking at about a 6-month window is what we're estimating that this,
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and I know.
Yeah, I had a
Miller?
few questions. Thank you for the presentation. So my understanding, we were told last week by staff, out of our 24 box hangers that you're managing for us, we've leased 19 of them. Is that still the case?
I don't have that information. I'm gonna defer that to your.
That is correct at this time, and we're going through our wait list to see if we have other people that want to rent the additional 5.
And out of your T hangers, you have 30 or 35 T hangers?
30.
And how many of those have you leased?
We lost 2 out of all of the ones that we had leased. So we have space available as well, but I mean, keep in mind that our rent is also, I mean, I guess we could say it's substantially higher than the airport's.
You're not using public funds to underwrite them.
$600 a month, whereas Ford is
$450.
$450.
Okay. Now in the past, and you sort of talked about pricing, but fuel was priced lower on the north side than you do it at the FBO, or at least that was the case, wasn't it? For the low lead?
Yes. Yes, I mean, we have a self-serve price. Del Monte has a price that services the GA, and the Jet Center has a price. So I would envision we'll continue to do that, although we may make adjustments, for base tenants within that. We want to incentivize, we don't like empty T hangers, right? We want airplanes in hangars because we like the rent, because, it cost us $7.5 million to build. I mean, amortize that over 30 years, we're still hard to make money.
Right.
So we like the rent for having full T hangers, and we like our GA community to buy fuel from us. So we try to incentivize all of that stuff as best that we can, and still be making fiscally sound decisions, so we can have exceptional FBOs, highly trained staff.
Good. I know we have future expansion plans to add other hangars if needed. When do you think that will happen in your estimation?
I think it's much more likely to happen on a. We're pushing that envelope with the business aviation community now, just because of some of the stuff that's going on in San Jose and Moffett. And
What's going on up there? I'm not aware.
Moffett kicked Google out, so Google took their facility, their ginormous hangar facility that they built in San Jose, which is displacing NetJets, a whole bunch of Silicon Valley flight departments. Everybody's kind of looking for a place to go.
You think they could come down here?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we've added some already. So, Jet Centers, it depends if you ask Michael Halpern or you ask me what our capacity is, but Michael will tell you we're 100% rented today. I will tell you that we're 80%. So
We have a big hangar available.
what about I know.
Where's
I
the?
keep telling you,
Fill it.
We want that. So on the GA side, it's just it's hard to say. We got to get the T hangers, and we got to get the box hangers, and
you got to get electricity.
we got to get electricity. I mean, it's going to be. These are major upgrades from what we had on the south side for both our stuff and your stuff. I mean, we've got hangars that have electric doors, and I hope people electric doors.
And lights.
Nightmare to maintain, but I mean, it's a nice add. Everything's new. We've got more bathrooms. We've got a big, nice, large open parking area that we will do. Somebody asked about tie downs. So we're doing tie downs ASAP, as soon as we can, because FedEx, UPS, those guys. So, you know, we got to get those hangars full. We've had some bad, we've struggled with like bad PR. Struggle first. And to get our existing GA customers to say, yeah, this is great. Thanks for this. You know, nobody wanted to pay more rent. But, you know, once that sort of flowed through, you know, we're targeting Watsonville folks. We're targeting Salinas folks. You know, I hear, you know, through the Grapevine Marina, those people aren't really very happy. Some of their tenants. So there's opportunities for that. We'll continue to focus on that. We want 100% occupancy. Once that happens, then I think we consider
Future
building more
expansion
GA
plans. Okay.
Expansion. I don't know, maybe it's VTOL or I don't know.
Where's the flight school going to be located?
That's another major upgrade for the airport and for the flight school, because they're gonna go into 200 Sky Park, which is where JSX was flying out of. So now instead of the, you know, raggedy old beat up building, they've got a legit, like, first class office building with our fantastic charter management company, MPI Jet, which is Steve McIntyre's management company upstairs. Ariel will be downstairs. They've got meeting rooms in there. They got a little kitchen in the back. They got a front counter. It's going to be a much better look for them, which may help them market their product better. It's also going to get Mark Curtis off their backside for people going through that gate, you know, which we all want to keep Mark happy.
Okay, very good. When is that transition going to happen? When are they going to be in there?
They've told me they're moving in the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So I think that's when we've got, that's the South Ramp is gone.
That morning, it's gone.
And the only other note I had down here was a wash station for GA. Is there plans to put one in?
I can speak to that one.
Oh, okay.
That's part of the future. So
Okay.
I'll get to that in the next one.
Chair, if I could ask one question of our presenter.
Of course.
Speaking of keeping Mark Curtis happy, in the event that there's no power on the 17th, can you speak to the plans?
Yes, I think we had pretty extensive discussions about this on our Tuesday weekly update call with Avila. They're going to have, regardless, I mean, we're all dependent on PG&E. So if PG&E shows up on Friday and does what they said they're going to do, no problem. It should be good. You know, we're hoping for the best, but we are still planning for the worst. So they're arranging for temporary generator power should PG&E not be able to fulfill their, I'm not sure what you would call it.
Will you have it?
Appointment
Their
schedule.
obligation.
They probably wouldn't say it was.
I would.
Well, well, thank you for partnering with us and taking on all those burdens that would have fell to us, you know, with screws in the ramps and generators.
They are going around with a magnet and trying to fix the fog.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it was. It's in the doors. When they started lifting the doors, all the screws that had fallen into the doors, as soon as they lifted.
Installing
Exactly. And as soon as they lifted it up, it was just raining down screws after the, so yeah. Yeah, totally. On the tie downs, there was a request specifically from your tenants, and I mean, it's kind of yours to manage, but they were asking for three dedicated tie downs for the avionics shop and for court, those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
We make sure those guys get.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, Director, when you get those kinds of requests, if you would just refer those to Chris and her team or to Matt directly.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Totally.
That way,
Yeah.
we'll take you out of the middle as much as we can.
Yeah.
Just a sec. I want to acknowledge that Dino joined us online, Director Pick. joined us online at 10:10 today. Welcome. And Scott, Attorney Huber, Matt appears to have another question. Can we open it back up, or could you guide us on that?
Specific question for him, you can direct that question.
I'm sorry, the other Matt. He's raising his hand in the audience, so, okay. Okay, go ahead and go, and then Director Leffel.
Thank you. It just came up as a result of the discussion of power and the fact that our access to the south ramp is done. If we don't get power over there and we can't move our aircraft, we don't have any choice but to stay.
That's what the generator is.
Yeah, that's why. I brought my own generator. I got my own. Haven't hooked up or anything.
No, you don't.
I'm just saying, if large scale, we aren't able to move our teams over there, can't get the
Doors to door.
doors open or closed, and the ramp is still closed, no can closed. So if that were to occur, we might not be able.
Oh,
I mean, we're
is-
the generator solution.
can you go to the mic?
Not like.
Matt, can you go to the mic? Mic. Microphone.
It's being recorded. It's being recorded.
The generator solution that Apple is working on will power all of the, not just the individual.
Okay,
ad hoc.
so you've got a plan B essentially,
Yeah, plan.
yeah, which is a good thing considering history of PG&E. All right, Director Leffel.
So I guess I'm a little confused because I know Chris has been our only person, so she keeps jumping in. But Whitney, I think this might be for you because you're operations, correct? So do you see that there's that it's pretty smooth so far, just from a total operations, other than our resident director who has his issues, but are people getting along, and are they still able to fly, and are they doing what they needed to do?
I would say generally, all the tenants have been happy. We've coordinated with properties to kind of streamline the process in terms of making sure that all tenants are orientated to the north side. Obviously, everyone is a pilot. We know that they're going to know how to navigate, but just kind of explaining to them the challenges of, hey, this is still an active construction zone. We're sweeping as much as we can. We're monitoring the area, and just trying to be good communicators in getting information out. But in general, yes, I'd say all tenants have been happy. We've met with each in groups on a daily basis to orientate them to the area.
Okay, good. Thank you. Matt, for you, because you and I both love electric vehicles. And also hydrogen. And when I'm talking to Joe Ben, I mean, that's for him, that's the wave of the future. It's not, electric is just a step toward hydrogen. So I know that you like in the future, I like in the future. So can we be really cognizant of the fact that that's coming and we know it's coming?
As a matter of fact, I just got back from the largest business aviation. I mentioned you there, but part of which is the National Business Aviation Association, their annual conference, which was in Las Vegas, and that's a huge conference. Had several meetings there. One of the more important ones was with our existing fuel supplier about, we were their SAF launch customer. We want to strategically place ourselves to be in a similar position with regards to hydrogen as well. So, we're actually just about to start. This was like the kickoff to start our renegotiations for either extending our fuel supply agreement or putting it out for bid again. And they know that's something we're asking for. So
do we need a lot of structural changes or different things? I just know enough about it to be dangerous because I read all of that. And then when I was chatting with him, and he told me that 6 years ago, but now it seems like it's ramped up.
Yeah, I think it's not dissimilar to the eVTOL issue where they're inventing the product before they figure out the business model.
Mhm.
So, which I think creates opportunities for FBOs and airports to sort of help create that business proposition.
And be ready.
So that's kind of where the hydrogen is. It's even further behind from the eVTOL thing. Like we're seeing quite a few FBOs that are installing, battery charging units or ground power units that can charge up batteries on an eVTOL. Even though there hasn't been a single commercial flight and there isn't a certificated aircraft yet. I mean, it seems like Joby will have one pretty soon.
Well, they flew their first commercial in New York 2 days ago. So
Wrong side of the coast.
yeah, but that's where the people are.
We've got a few people here.
80% of the United States population lives east of the Mississippi.
Really?
Yeah.
All the good jobs.
We got the wide open spaces.
In aviation terms, east is least, west is best. Right? Learn that in your place.
So a couple of things. Chris did a really great presentation when we had Cal AFCO here last month. And she had an amazing photo that I had never seen before. It was a before and after before we did the EMAS. So it was before EMAS and after EMAS. And it's like, holy cow. That is something we should have everywhere to show people how we really did improve things. But I'm also thinking with the hangars that somebody might take photos of those decrepit, nasty old hangars and then take photos and that we put them side by side and just say, this is how, we are spending our money to improve for the general aviation community. And I think that's really important because it's easy to think about it. But man, when you see the photos of before and after, it's like crazy. So I would just encourage us to do that and put it out there on our website and let it be part of the presentation of the roadshow to show these are 2 huge improvements that we've done. And I think that's important for people. It's so easy to forget what have you done for me lately about 5 minutes after. And I just want to say one more thing. Can you please not talk about $100 hamburger with Tim Wood? Because he'll be thinking he needs to charge that.
Well, you're thinking of the fuel cost.
Anyway, thank you. Thank you. And I don't know if Dino's gonna.
Yeah, I'll open it up. Director Pick, do you have any questions or?
No, Chair, thanks for the opportunity. Good presentation. Thank you.
Great. And I think I got questions answered as we went about it
Thank you
too.
very
So
much.
appreciate the update.
Really, really
Mm, good to know that the transition change is always difficult. Transitions can be, but hopefully in time to the investment for the community and for the general aviation community, it will shine. Yeah.
Everybody's gonna be happy
Yeah.
with the end product.
Yeah, I
Just
agree.
right now, it's just kind of painful. Just
Yeah.
based on the schedule. Move and all that stuff.
And hopefully building a little bit of a community and working together with everybody too, which is a good thing for our GA community.
I did want to,
Yes.
thank you very much, Mike, for setting this and Chris Nickoff,
Yeah.
she had to do something else, but I wanted to also thank the both of you for putting this together.
Great, our pleasure.
Appreciated that.
Great. All right. Thanks for being here, Matt. Both Matts, for that matter.
Are we going to get the rest of the update?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chris had to exit for a doctor's appointment, so Whitney's gonna
Yes.
provide the final update. Final components.
All right. Want us on the, got it?
So to close out, we're gonna discuss kind of some of the future projects that, as Chris stated earlier, funding sources have not yet been identified for. If you look at our visual, you'll see kind of at the center of the airfield, one big change that's forecasted via the master plan is the extension of taxiway Bravo. So we'll have another parallel taxiway to our large runway. Additionally, there's some other taxiway configuration changes, and those are as a result of the airport design advisory circular. The FAA would prefer pilots turn 90 degrees onto active runway surfaces, which just kind of decreases runway deviation. So whereas some of our surfaces will lead you straight from one runway to another, if we put in those 90-degree turns, it gives them time to stop and think so that they don't bust a protected surface, so to speak. Additional non-aviation development, some of the soils that are going to be excavated during our terminal apron project will go to the north side to build up some of those non-aviation development areas. Matt mentioned the fuel island, which is a part of his current project, as well as the future wash bay facility, which will be located to the north of where the new fire station is. Those are some of the future airport development projects that we'll see as a result of our master plan.
Do we have grant money for the wash station? Is that
That
included?
is not grantable.
It's not.
It's not.
We don't care if they're dusty.
No. Nope, they
You know,
don't care.
the question came up on that though, we had that capacity, we do have the capacity now, and so the new plan does not have that capacity.
It does not
That's not-
currently. There were no funds that were allocated to it
Yeah,
at this point because the project was an FAA funded project. The hangar projects themselves are certainly ours to do.
yeah.
Then we'll continue to look at that and see when we're ready to suggest to you that we make that investment. It's in the plan. It's just not funded right
That,
And
I
that's-
completely understand on that. When we say it's future, do we put any kind of timeline on that, or do we, I mean,
now. No, I think we'll probably have those discussions as we get into budget for next year.
okay, all right.
And then the.
Will we
the
be
other
able
thing-
to run our well water over there? Is that just so prohibitively expensive to
Yeah,
do that?
for us to run a line over there would be prohibitive.
Yeah.
It would, so it will have to be Cal-Am water unless we can find a location over there to drill a well or something.
Another,
But we do have wells over there, don't we?
Yeah, those are not wells you want to use right now.
They're-
Because of the PFAS.
Us.
Navy's gifts.
Is there any way to get maybe the government, I know they gifted those to us and the responsibility, but is there any fund that we can, and I'm sorry for jumping in.
No,
here.
No,
Is there any fund we can, super fund, I'm thinking, that we can access because that contamination goes back to when it was a naval air base?
Yeah, so the short answer is no, not at the moment. However, don't forget, we do have pending litigation. I won't go too much into it. We do have pending litigation on PFAS right now against the chemical company manufacturers.
Yeah.
The intent of that is to clean up all of these issues. And so one of the things that again, rolling this thing forward, and I'm not sharing anything that's confidential. The judge made a ruling that the water provider contamination cases would go first, that the ground contamination would go second, and we're in that second group.
Why are we not in the water one?
Because we didn't put it on there.
Because you are not providing water from those wells.
Okay,
It's drinking water providers is what.
I see.
And so, because we're not in that category. And so, however, there have been several quite large settlements related to the water provider, drinking water provider groups. Those are intended to sort of domino forward as the court gets to the groundwater cases. So, we're still a little bit, we're still a ways away, but there are some good events happening on the horizon.
Is there an economical way to clean the water we have? And I don't know who I'm directing that question because it's not really a legal
Since
question.
technically EPA has not even declared it as a hazardous chemical, they're in the process of doing that. There is no adopted process for cleaning the water, getting the PFAS out of water.
Well, how bad is it on the north side there? I mean, there's some PFAS, as there is in Cal Am water has some PFAS in it too.
Like, we had that analysis done some time ago, Director. I don't recall from off the top of my head.
Okay.
It's significant enough that the advice of the agency that we used to do the testing was to let it stay for a while. So we figure.
I know those are shallow wells on the north side, so maybe they're more susceptible to groundwater intrusion like that. But yeah, it's a shame because we do have water out there that could be used for this purpose.
And the only other part that I will follow up with on Whitney's completion here is we do have space adjacent to the new hangars that can and is programmed to be developed into additional hangars. And you need to understand that at some point you're going to have to do that with age and the condition of the hangars on the northwest side. You're going to have to replace those. The challenge is going to be the same as what you're facing today, what you were facing with these. You don't have infrastructure there. Infrastructure is eligible for AIP funding as the newly completed infrastructure was eligible. But you're also looking at new hangars and the investment in those new hangars. And I think you've got this should be an informative experience to know what it costs to build a hangar, a row of hangars. So you calculate that into your thought process going forward. You're going to have to build some more just to take care of what you have today. That can be a topic of discussion at a strategic planning session. Your commitment to general aviation and how you want that to look.
But I'm gonna say that our new terminal is our number one priority
no
with
question.
all couch change. And we're gonna have to be really, really careful that we don't get into that we're gonna provide something for, I'm gonna say this, be offensive, 20 individuals with planes as opposed to another 500,000 who go through a terminal. And so the terminal has got to be our guiding star
No.
for the next 2, 3, 4 years. It's got to be.
You will not find anyone on staff that disagrees with that.
I know, I'm just saying it
yeah,
publicly.
yep.
It's like we can go down that path and, oh my God, we have to do this, but we cannot do that right now when I look at the numbers and what we've got ahead of us.
Yeah, we cannot. And
So that's lovely to think about,
Yep.
but
And could I ask, those hangars have about how many years left of life?
oh, goodness, some of them should already be gone.
Okay.
We have 4 that we do not rent because they're not habitable.
Okay.
They were
And repairs is not an option or a
repairs are not
possibility.
an option. The biggest problem with the hangars on the northwest side are they were bolted down to an existing ramp. There were no drainage issues taken into account. They were just bolted and open. And what ends up happening when you do that is water doesn't drain. It sits. It's a flat ramp, pretty flat in its profile. So it sits and it usually collects in a hangar. And then water and steel don't match really well. And what we're seeing today with those hangars, and have seen for some time, and we've had these discussions, is the degradation of the superstructure. And at some point, those are going to become even more of a liability for us to be concerned about. But Director Leffel is abundantly correct. We can't take on another major project right now. So we're going to be faced with trying to patch these together as long as we possibly can. And then hopefully they can stay with us long enough so that after the terminal, you have the opportunity to make some decisions about moving forward with infrastructure. But you're at capacity with our request with FAA. We can't, unless there's an emergency, like a runway problem or an ARF vehicle problem. We are at capacity with what we can ask FAA for through the IP. So you don't have that option out there right now. I think you need to just discount that. And then just the sheer $10 million investment in hangars is enough to put the terminal building out for each. So it's a timing issue. That would be an appropriate discussion for us to have in a strategic planning session, so that you better understand what you're going to be faced with. You understand what we're operating with, and we have some kind of an agreement or understanding of how we as an airport want to move forward with that kind of investment and when. And we can have those discussions.
To this point, I deal with a lot of federal agencies, and the FAA is going to have a lot of things, that are important to them, and GA is a big part of it. And so if we're seeking the sponsorship of a federal agency, we want to find the things that check off the boxes for those things, and GA is one of those things for the FAA. And so we can't just discount the FAA, because as soon as the GA community starts to, I don't know, they start to rear up and say, hey, well, what they call foul, first place they go to is the federal agency. And so, and we kind of talked about this yesterday when we were talking about potentially funding, is that we're looking for the things that body needs to check off. And so, some amount, and I think a lot has actually done. I think we've gone a long way in showing the FAA that GA is important at this airport. There are, I would say, the major thrust, the major focus is the new terminal, but it's not our money, right? And so we need to, where we go get our money, we have to basically also then show that we are, that these projects fit the policies and the spirit of those lenders.
Yeah, I think
it's a balancing act.
Yeah, it is. And I appreciate you recognizing that, because our singular focus with FAA right now is that terminal building. Because we're asking them to commit a significant amount of dollars to that building. It's kind of like, we don't want to give them a shiny red ball.
Right.
But if an opportunity comes up, there's a change in legislation that makes an additional pot of money available just for general aviation, we'll be right there. But at this point, that does not exist, and we don't want to have FAA lose focus on the importance of the terminal building to this airport at this point.
Totally appreciate that.
Yeah,
and totally understand that.
Yeah,
I would say that the FAA and AOPA has got a big part of this. The reason that there's a big focus on GA right now is that there's a pilot deficit. There's a 10-year pilot deficit.
Absolutely.
And where do you find your new pilots, right? You have to encourage it in GA, and a strong GA community always gave us lots of pilots.
Yeah.
GA has been dying for decades.
It has.
And so that's why these federal agencies see GA as an important part of it.
And as I said, we always are looking for that, because we see that as a storm on the horizon. I see the condition of our Northwest hangars as a storm on the horizon.
Oh yeah, no,
We've got to address those at some point. But we have limited opportunities to do that with FAA and with our own capital. At this point. That's going to be a point of discussion.
I know.
Going forward, if you ask me, that would be the very next thing we do as an airport. After the terminal program is done, after safety enhancement, is we have to address those hangars. They scare me.
Well, we should start now so that the population that uses it understands that they have to pay for it also.
Yeah.
That
you're
it's
right.
not,
So
it's
lucky.
not public
Yeah.
funds.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's important. You
absolutely
can,
right.
it's like me, I want this, I want a new car, I want this, but I do have to figure out how to pay for it. So it's nice to want, but hello.
Mhm.
And everybody who rails against, oh my God, I'm sending all this tax money. And then when the tax money comes back
Mhm.
in small chunks, you know, it's just, it's hard.
Yeah,
But I
it's-
think,
it is.
John, I am totally in support of pilots and GA. I just have got to
I
get,
totally understand.
a
your point.
terminal
I totally
built.
get it, but there's no infrastructure that isn't heavily subsidized. You know, I work in infrastructure,
Yeah.
energy, water, transportation, all of them are heavily subsidized. And you just heard it right here. I mean, if we paid the true cost on what aviation fuel cost, we wouldn't fly. So where do you draw the line on what's subsidized and what's not? I mean, I have this argument all the time with energy, is that people want cheap energy. And they go, oh, well, that's subsidized, that's subsidized. I said, well, of course it is. It's so that we can all function. And this is infrastructure. These are infrastructure investments. And the reason the FAA makes it, is making this focus in infrastructure or investments in GA is so that we have future pilots. So it's where do you invest your money for future? I mean, I don't know. I have this argument all the time. What not into, or what's a good subsidization or subsidized
So I would
subsidy?
like that we don't have arguments, we have discussions, because we've had 14 or 15 years of arguments here and I
Yeah.
hate it.
Well,
So,
what
as long as we're having a
You
discussion.
just started this. I mean,
No, I'm
you're
just saying,
slinging these arrows at me going, oh, man.
I'm
we're paying-
not.
we're
I'm
cutting
not.
all
I'm
this
just
stuff."
saying,
No,
as
we know
a
what's going
board
on.
member, we have
Yeah.
got to keep our eye on the
I
prize.
totally
And our
agree.
prize right now is a brand new terminal.
Absolutely. And again, I work with federal agencies that fund this, and so much of our funding is coming from federal agencies. And it's not just a blank check. You have to show it comes with overhead. It's not free money. And this is an important part of it. GA is an important component to keeping FAA interested. Yes, they want to see safe runways. I mean, this whole thing is being built on the premise of being a safe runway. So that's the box that they're checking off on. But if they also have a $250,000 or 250,000 pilot deficit over the next 2 years or 10 years, and we only have a training capacity of 20,000 a year, and it still takes 5 years after you mint a new pilot for them to be functional as a commercial aviator, then I mean, whoa, that's the other issue that the FAA is.
I get it. I read it all.
Okay.
There just isn't an avenue for that. I don't think anyone disagrees with what you're saying.
Yeah.
FAA has not subscribed to that in a meaningful way as yet.
They didn't pay for our new hangars, did they?
No, they don't, and they won't. The new hangars are always and forever going to be
Yeah.
private investment, either private through us or private through another entity.
And I think that
Yeah.
they expect that of us. I think the
Yeah,
FAA says,
and I-
well, so what are you guys doing for
Yeah.
GA? What are you guys doing? What are you
Yeah,
doing for new pilots? What are you doing for? So
You know,
I'm not disagreeing. I think
Yeah.
if anything,
Yeah, I
we're
think we-
violently disagreeing, or maybe
I
like
think there's a lot more
heatedly-
agreement
I'm just
here.
pointing
Yeah.
out where our priority is for the next few years. That's what I'm doing.
And I'm saying that in order for us to check that off, it takes us to have, I think, a broader understanding of kind of where our funding sources come from and what's important to those.
That's what you have staff for, and we know.
Exactly right.
We know we know where the funding lies, and believe me, we're pretty damn good at finding it. So if there's an opportunity that comes up, we'll be there.
Absolutely. I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think one more item, Director Gagliardi, that you mentioned in last meeting was about the compass rose.
Yes.
So we've
Yeah.
gone and taken a look at our master plan, and it's just something that was not identified as a high priority item at the time.
Yeah.
We may have some limiting factors that preclude us from pursuing it in the future. But if it's something that needs to be looked at in the future.
The issue is really space,
Yeah.
because they take an inordinate amount of ramp space, and right now ramp space on this airport is a very premium product. We haven't had one on this airport in don't know that we can find
Well,
record.
it's right there and
Yeah.
it got leased over, you know,
Yeah,
but
it
yeah.
did. Yeah, and however long ago that lease
Right,
was.
exactly, yeah.
You know, it's not on the master plan right now, therefore FAA won't support it. That doesn't mean that we can't change that. So that too is gonna be one of those that we're gonna have to address as we move forward.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
appreciate
something
that.
we can just go out and take care of.
Yeah. It is something that I want to go to. I mean, again, creative solutions are always appreciated and I think that may be something. I mean, it's actually relatively cheap. It's striping and it's just making sure that it's accurate, but it just has to mean that and it can be, I think it doesn't have to be dual use. You know, you can run over these things, you know, in fact, that's the one that is in Salinas, it's not dedicated. You actually, you taxi over it on the way over. So it just has to be somewhere where there's nothing in the ground. You know,
Yeah, and there has to be a distance between it and other structures and that's where we have a difficult time finding a space that can, at least early on, that can accommodate that space requirement.
Yeah.
It's not so much the installation, the paint, you're right, it's just paint on the ground.
I know.
And there are surprisingly some technical things related to it too, as you would expect. I mean, if you're putting a compass rose and people are relying on that compass rose for their instrumentation, it has to be accurate and it has to be tested every 5 years and adjusted every 5 years because the axis does move. So it's a process. It has not been really looked at. Certainly wasn't looked at during this master plan, and I don't think it was looked at the previous one. Doesn't mean we can.
One at my house you can use.
No, I recognize that. Thank you very much for looking into it. And yeah, I definitely would like it listed as something, but I'm going to go to the GA community too and see if there are, you know, the creative. I mean, where this really kind of came from our avionics shop. Is that they have to create one when they are tuning, when they're putting in new avionics and they are tuning, they go find a place over there and then they set up a beam of some form and they tune off of it and they make it happen. So there is a workaround, but it's something that it would be much easier for them, for our own tenants, and it is something that we as GA pilots, instrument rated GA pilots, have to do every 4 days.
Yeah, and to the extent that the avionics shop has wanted that, they haven't made that known to us. So
I know.
Please have them do that. One of the problems with having, and I'm just going to be very frank and honest.
Yeah.
One of the problems with having a board member in the GA community is you become the ears. And
I don't see that as a problem. I actually see that as
as long as that information
we should reframe that from that's a problem.
Yeah, as long as that information is transferred to those on staff, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And you should be the ears, but then how you handle that message is really where the problem could occur. You're handling it perfectly. You're telling us that this is what they're asking for. You can always take yourself out of that and push them over to us and we'll address them just like we're addressing.
Yeah. I think that we are figuring out how to improve on, kind of past ills. And so, and I think that one beautiful thing about this is that we have a very, very functional board, and I think we have a very functional staff. And I think that we have a really smart and resourceful GA community. And so, we have a great opportunity to again fix past ills and fix past relationships, and then be very, very functional. And this is the best airport, I think, in the community, and it should be. So
no disagreement.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Go ahead, and if that's okay. Anybody have anything else? Go ahead.
I'd just like to thank staff for everything you've done for the GA community. I know it's never perfect and there's always more that can be done, but I think we've done a lot here. Paving that runway, putting the improved ILS in there at our expense. Those were great things for the GA community.
All right, may we continue to
Mm.
build on everything, and I also heard, the desire for the strategy session. That was actually one of my things, because we talked about that in September too, to bring back up at the end of the meeting. I think that further discourse and conversation, it will be of value too. Go ahead and move on to item H, if,
Madam Chair, could we take 5?
of course. Be happy to let everybody stretch their legs. Hopefully be back at 11:05. All right, and we return at 11:06 for the Board of Directors regular meeting, Monterey Peninsula Airport District on November 15th. And we are to item H, the board committee reports and acceptance of department reports. Go ahead and start with the standing committees, budget and finance. Dr. Igliotti or Level, who would like to take it?
What do you want to?
Just an update.
We covered
me?
the,
Yeah, we covered the audit.
the audit, we saw the draft of the audit, which you all will see in December, and it looks good. So other than that, we'll wait for the full.
Well,
And we covered the contract with Cole Huber
okay.
and went through the financials. And if you have questions, you can ask them.
And insurance, we talked about there's a potential for insurance. Yeah, we'll know that by the next meeting. Or our next carriers.
Okay. A shift or a change. Okay, any questions from the board on anything? I noticed that there's some new reports in there. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Wilson, for that.
Well, I tried to
New looks, new views.
provide some additional information, so I'm glad it's well received.
Yeah. And our aging reports were way down. I don't know what your magic is, but that's awesome too.
We like to collect the money.
Okay. Air Services, Marketing, Community Relations. I know that the reports are in the packet. Does anybody have any question about the reports?
I had one question. Did you all, how did you resolve this thing with TSA? I mean, this guy that says that they had a cavity search, I doubt it.
We did discuss it.
We did. We will, when we get those kinds of complaints, they are shared with the local TSA supervisory and management staff. And it's on to them to respond. We also will tell complainants how they can file a complaint against TSA, both online and telephonically. So that's about as much as we can do to help the complainant direct their
You see the one for the lease?
irritation appropriately. So
I don't see that.
we don't
Lease
don't
updates? I
follow
don't
up
think it
on
was in.
those to see whether they've been responded to by TSA. That's outside of our purview, but we do take those seriously, and we do talk to the providers. So when we get those, particularly on TSA, we will hand those to TSA and they'll do their own investigation. There's no cavity search. Don't know. I don't think I've heard of a cavity search since I've been at this airport. A pat down, yes. So.
It wouldn't be done.
No.
The TSA doesn't do that.
Yeah, I would assume that what this complainant is referring to is a pat down.
Yeah.
And I don't know Colorado driver's licenses well enough to know whether they are adequate for TSA or what the driver of that was. Really don't know. I just think it's a bad situation that perhaps got a little.
So did we know who this person was to be able to say to them, this was not our equipment, it is not our employee? So we have no idea.
No, he did not. They did not leave identification. They just complained.
We had no follow-up with them. In
All
other
we can
words,
do
they're
is
the TSA.
TSA.
Yeah.
We cannot
Let
follow
them know
up
that
with
we
TSA.
received those.
What did TSA say?
TSA said, thank you, and we'll look into it.
Noted.
Okay. I just, I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, when somebody does such an exaggeration that they're cavity searched, then I have to ask how much of the other is embellished on. You know,
We do the same. We share that.
he didn't do himself any favors by.
No.
We had the marketing and PR update today too, which we didn't look at closely in the meeting, but we did look at the social media parts. Airport property development and leases. Do you want to, Carl? or
Yeah, I don't think,
Mike?
we don't have
A report.
a report in the agenda. I didn't see one, right?
Yeah, no, there was not time for us to get that in.
Well, it was a good meeting and we did cover a couple things that should be mentioned. We have secured a lease with Kimberly Horn for the Fenton Color business. Correct, Mark?
It's out for execution.
The other.
And then Granite Rock for the property in the front. They're starting to move in actually, aren't they?
Correct, that lease is executed. and they-
Okay. I had a question I forgot to ask. Did Fenton and Keller sublease that bottom floor or were we handling the lease on that
No, that is not.
to
a
the law
sublease.
firm?
That is not a sublease.
I mean, but it's not a sublease now. We're doing it, but
No, and it was-
prior it was done by us and wasn't a sublease.
No, we inherited the lease but it was a lease, not a sublease.
Okay,
We inherited that lease with Hulk when we purchased the property. That lease termed out and they asked for a month-to-month arrangement. I think they were on month-to-month for about 6 months. That sounds right?
And I think they gave us notice the end of May.
but that'd be money coming in right now, in case of Granite Rock, extra money coming in, so that's pretty good.
Granite Rock is not new, yeah.
So, the demo of the fire department's gonna happen start next week, which is, moving, it's good. And then the demo of the ramp is scheduled for the week after Thanksgiving to begin. Granite Rock is doing the demo and the construction of the ramp, correct?
They're doing the demo of the general aviation area, the demo of the existing or the old fire station is part of the new fire station contract.
You had a great report. We have 2 firefighters in the ARF building on the north side and 3 firefighters on the south side until 8 o'clock. So if you remember, that was the desire of the board that we end up with 2 firefighters, 24/7 there. And that's what we have. 8 o'clock, the 3 on the south side just disappear off the airport. And then but the good news is we will have 2 firefighters on the north side to handle anything ARF related. Which is actually more than we need because of our status, or which word they call index, thank you, with FAA, but 2 is a minimum to get anything done with equipment. So that was great news, Mike, and thank you for seeing that to happen. And then that's about all I have. There's no question.
I have a question on the building. We got rid of not Foley, it's the attorneys, but we're putting in Kimley Horn, is that just for flex construction space or for construction offices, or are they going to be a permanent?
They're more permanent.
Okay.
It will be a construction office, but it will also be an office that will be used for handling projects throughout the region.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's
They're
not-
currently in Salinas, so they're going to move their regional headquarters here. They work on a lot of projects besides us.
I like that I'm just curious why the law firm were they asked to leave or did they just
No.
leave on their own?
Hulk retired
Okay,
and the firm was closed.
got it, understand.
Yeah.
Well, then that was quick to get it you know, to get it repurposed. Is it is our stuff desirable? Is this like, I mean,
I would call it Class B.
okay,
Hulk is gonna put, or we're allowing some, go ahead.
Yeah, we're doing about well, it's a $20 foot TI allowance there, so it's about, $47,000. So they're gonna do some light TI, they're probably, painting carpet. I think there's kind of an island, kind of admin island. I think they're
Yeah.
probably gonna eliminate or reconfigure, but,
it does look old in there.
yeah.
I live in all these office spaces up here are all kind of 80s.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it's otherwise,
Matter,
but
dude.
the exterior kind of perimeter offices are all kind of, drinky and.
Location
So
can be
it should
good.
be, should be.
Yeah, that's,
should be
I mean, I
quick.
just think that eventually it's gonna be, it could be Class A just by proximity.
I think it can be. Yeah, the structure itself is not unpleasant. I think it just.
And it's got good parking.
It's got really, yeah, right,
I just think it needs a little TLC.
yeah.
Slowly but surely, we're doing that.
That building will lose its access to 68, all right? It'll be a perimeter road that goes, that's,
Ultimately, on our master plan, we show a frontage road
Yeah,
that will
frontage
bring
road.
them to Olmsted and 68.
okay.
Yeah, that access is less than desirable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it also fakes you out because you think it's a left or a right turn pocket and then you end up.
Then there isn't one. Yeah,
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, it'd be a lot safer,
yeah,
Yeah.
certainly.
no question.
The Director Leffels before and after comment too, maybe considering doing that with the fire department transition too. We certainly have a beautiful ARF space now. And I know I've actually never been in that building, but I hear it's seen better days.
It needed to go.
I think we're all just ready to see it leave.
But some before and after might be a fun thing too. Showing the investment in the community and how we're providing great spaces for our firefighters. Ad hoc committee, the local jurisdiction, no meetings with Director Leffel and myself. LAFCO, Director Leffel?
We are still working through the agricultural mitigation. And so we now have a special workshop set up to be able to take public comment on that. And the way it was scheduled for this last month, it really didn't give enough time for people to be able to come forward and talk and to have the commission talk about what their desires are. So anyway, that's been moved to a special workshop. The City of Gonzales, it looks like they have finished their EIR and they will probably be in the first quarter of 2024, a fairly substantial annexation request. So we'll see how that goes. And there is we had a big group actually for LAFCO meetings that came forward from Greenfield. And it's a community that is adjacent to the city limits, but they are not on city water, and their wells are so bad that they cannot even shower. So they have water that is brought in weekly, and they cannot eat, they can't brush their teeth, they can't wash, they can't cook, they can't do anything with the water in their wells. So they were asking for consideration, an emergency consideration to be hooked on to Greenfield. Evidently Greenfield is not interested in hooking them up. So they're in the county. So we'll see how that goes, but it's pretty sad when you think of how many people in our community do not have safe drinking water or even water that they can wash their cars with. So anyway, we'll see how it goes, but there's a lot of need in the Salinas Valley, a lot.
And Greenfield just doesn't have the capacity?
I don't
or-
know. I mean, there was nobody there from Greenfield to speak about it, so it was just a group of people who came forward and said, hey, we've been trying to work on this and we want to be annexed, and so that was it.
They have there's a rift going on in Greenfield that's been going on for about 6 years now.
Director Pick in the Regional Taxi Authority, we know that's once a year in July. Oh, okay, okay. TAMC, Director Miller, I believe you.
Yes, I
stepped up
attended my
for-
first TAMC meeting, which was kind of nice. At the end, they all thanked me for being there and look forward to our presence. So that was kind of nice. I met with the director of TAMC yesterday. They had an orientation that new even ex officio members have to attend. So that was the main thing we talked about was the Highway 68 corridor. And either they're coming to the end of their CEQA, putting that out. Director Leffel talked to you about the meeting that's happening tonight at Laguna Seca, and the other one is in December, I believe.
December 6th.
December 6th at the conference center. I was planning on attending.
You're going to the
That-
Carmel dinner that night, so you might not.
I did not know of that conflict. Okay. I may be redrawing my plans here.
I'm his mom.
But, or my calendar for sure. But, and I was gonna bring it up for future agenda items, that we may want to take a position on this. Because the roundabouts are not a guarantee at this time. And, there is a push out there not to put them in. And then Director Leffel and I were talking about a coordinated effort between our roundabout that we're building. And maybe we can get some economy of scale when they do the one for Olmsted and Garden Road.
Yeah, timing works out, that makes sense. Just don't have a sense.
Don't know what the timing is.
They don't know whether they're putting a horse back on the west at this point.
The other thing that Todd brought up that's very interesting, he says, you don't want to hire somebody, I don't know who would draw up the plans for our roundabout, but you don't want somebody that's never done it before, because you can actually mess things up if these things are done. And they put a lot of study into these on what's, and use computer models on how they work with different designs. And they might be willing to give us some of their expertise when that happens. But it was, it's a good meeting and we should stay involved in it. And they do welcome our opinion, so. That's all I have.
Bill was on that for many years, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he apparently did a pretty good job. No one was complaining about him. So,
I've heard a few things, but.
I'm gonna ask
Yes.
a question on that, is there a way for us to, as the jurisdiction to comment on that CEQA? I mean, I know the answer is yes, but are we doing that? Because I think that
It's not out yet for comment.
okay.
It is right now.
They're finishing it.
That's what the meeting
That's what
is.
they're doing.
Is to go comment on it. Is they're in public comment.
But as an effect, I guess we would call an affected party or affected whatever, that there's,
Yeah.
there's an official CEQA term,
Yeah,
but.
we certainly can take a position.
And
Let us-
on letterhead with, and all
Yes.
the board members sign it and send a proclamation or something.
It would be done, it would still be done as a comment to the EIR.
Yes.
It would need to be approved by the board on an agenda.
Do we have time to do that? Or can we do that?
that was actually going to be my request when it comes
that
up for
next time.
future agenda items, that we see if we
Yeah.
can get it on next month's agenda. Because the
Okay,
timing would be right.
okay, then we should, okay, I'd support that.
We'll add that.
Yeah.
And I actually had it written down too. Special Districts Association, I was actually out of town for the October meeting. Carl or?
Yeah, I attended
Director,
it.
If you could
Director
give a-
Gagliani was there, and Director Leffel chaired it, so she would be the best person to update us. You want me to?
Whoever.
The food was good. We had some good presentations. We had one from a legislative report that was very good. I'm sorry, what was the other part?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I know I got a lot out of the legislative report. Oh, we're looking bad right now.
I'm brain dead.
I'm trying to say, it was worth our participation despite how it appears right now. It was the finance person, wasn't it? Or was that?
Yeah,
another-
it was the CSDA.
Yes. Was that the class or class?
Thank you.
Yes.
I was trying to think who was sitting next to me.
But the good news is, it sounds like our controller is doing everything that they're doing right now, going more for the short term, which seems to be paying the best returns. Their returns are higher than Leafs because I guess they looking more on long term, where class was concentrated on the short terms, which are doing well. The thing I found interesting though was 2 years. They estimated that interest rates would stay high for 2 years. But I guess there's indications now they may be coming down. That's why the market did so good yesterday. So it's all a crystal ball and who knows for sure. You have any opinion on that or?
That's not inconsistent with what I'm hearing. I mean, it's quick up and slow down. I mean,
Yeah.
in general. Yeah, I think the consensus is that they're putting more raises at the Fed level. Inflation reports were due this month. That's a good part of the market reaction. But yeah, so I think we will enjoy, being a net investor. For a couple years.
All right. And MPAD. Dr. Miller, you're in for that one again.
Yes, that was also an interesting meeting. I attended in person because they had their Christmas party that night or their Christmas dinner. The main thing that was covered was jobs reports and population reports, which I tried to follow, but I packed up and gave to Director Leffel because she lives for those stuff.
It's my life.
But it paints it doesn't paint a rapid growth picture, but it paints a steady growth picture and a good stable position here. At least that's what I took out of it. Did you take anything else out of it?
No, I think that's true. And with the additional housing that has been approved for Soledad, and what may or may not come from Gonzales, and with the additional housing that's being built in Marina and in Seaside, I mean, it's really for our whole community. There's a good opportunity. Sorry, we lost the 2,000 manufacturing jobs to Dayton on Joby, but we held on to 600 of the R&D jobs, and those are from way into six figures down to $25 an hour. So that really does give a good range for our population to have jobs. And for us, that's a big employer. 500-600 employees is a lot, especially when they have full benefits and are more like a high-tech company where they give them breakfast and give them lunch and give them dinner. Carl will be applying next week. Now,
That's right.
but I think it's important, but they need housing too. I was talking to the mother of someone who works there, and two of her work associates, college graduates, are living out of their cars in Marina because they cannot find adequate housing. And so that's the shame of our community, so anyway, but I could do a report on it after if you all wanted to report on it, I could give you a more in-depth report. I'm just not prepared to do.
Okay. All right, on to pending requests for future agenda items.
So I would like TAMC actually to give us a presentation on it, and I think they're willing to do that and come, and then we could, I think, discuss it and decide how we want to, because otherwise we're all one off going, if we can or can't, go to the community meetings. But maybe if they came, and then we could ask questions and kind of understand where they're coming from, because they started out, they were gonna do them all on the west end first. And we probably would have been the first one. Now, he told me they have $50 million grant money and they can do the 3 on the east end. And so, anyway, Jocelyn Canyon is their last one on their ranking. It's the lowest ranking.
And are they, the numbers have gone kind of, how many they're doing too?
They were
That's
doing
been
13 and I think they're down
lots.
to 9.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Others?
Kind of on that, you know, we talked about in the finance committee, coordinating, and this was tied to some funding, coordinating with, MST in a more formal way. In now, while we're still kind of fleshing out design, because there could be a boom to our funding if we can check off, we're actually working with transportation within our design. So I know that there's a lot of kind of like, there are, you know, singular conversations happening, but I'd like to kind of raise that to a formal kind of din so that we can make that actually happen. I think that there's a great opportunity that whole multimodal component. If we can somehow figure out how to do something there, that would be great.
Yeah, we have been waiting to talk to TIFIA until we had something to talk
You know where exactly.
and we're getting closer there.
Yeah.
I think coming out of your special meeting at the end of the month, we'll have renewed direction and we'll have some renewed estimates of cost.
Yes.
And then we're already having a conversation with the 2 principals at TIFIA tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And so we're monitoring it, we're watching it. I have talked with Carl, Carl Sidoric.
No, the other Carl.
Yeah, the other Carl.
He's my neighbor.
Yeah, and, you know, his initial thought was, I'm not sure what we would do,
Right.
but we've agreed that we'll get together and get that done. We just haven't found the time to do that yet.
Exactly. No, it's just that right there is that nobody I think recognizes that there may be an opportunity here. I mean, once that agency gets behind something, they just never.
Yeah, the problem with TIFIA for airports is it's been out there for 10 plus years.
Yeah, I know.
And they haven't found one airport that they can close the deal with.
We've heard this.
It's
right? We've heard-
bizarre. It's
Right.
bizarre. The money's there, it's applicable. DOT stands up an entire department.
That's right.
And we still haven't seen the first grant go through. There are a couple that are in LOI
Right.
at this point. One in California that we know of. But there have been a couple others that got to LOI and then they pulled the plug.
Right.
So
When
when we're ready to talk to them,
Totally.
we're already planting those seeds. We're just not ready.
again, I'm drawing from my own personal experience, finding these external equities, these things that can basically kind of help your story, they pay back huge dividends. And I don't know what this relationship with the MST, how that formal, that would be. But if we're all basically talking and there's a concept out there, all of this looks great in a narrative to remember, and it also, that's how big projects, big ideas basically get started. The first step there.
Yeah, and you don't find any disagreement.
Yeah, totally.
just
I know. I just want to kind of push it, formalize it some way. Let's get it out there rather than just conversation.
Or do you want something
Maybe
added?
the next thing will be after.
After
because
the
I think
meeting?
There's a special meeting that's coming up
Yep.
that's gonna, and there's some unknowns that we need to.
I saw that. I got that. Yeah,
You know,
and Dino's had his hand raised. He's and back and forth. There he is. Yes, Director Pick.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I've been holding the speaker up to my ear to be able to hear, so I just apologize for bouncing in and out of the video. My comment really goes back to air services, and I just wanted to give a little vignette based on the complaint about our TSA. So I just took the American flight from Monterey to Dallas to Washington DC. TSA was swamped. I went through the checkpoint when it was super busy. It was just the American flight and another flight. I alerted when I went through the metal detector, whatever, in my midriff section. And they even at the rushed pace of peak throughput, the TSA person that handled me was very professional, did a pat down search, moved me along, and so I just want to provide that as a bookend to the negative experience that happened. I don't doubt that the person had a negative experience. I do wonder if he exaggerated tremendously. And the other bit about the American flight is, my goodness, that flight was packed to Dallas. So that air service just validates the numbers in the report in the packet. That American service is wonderful. That's all I have. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Sorry if your hand was raised for some time on that one. Being recognized. Others on the board? We've got our special meeting in 2 weeks on a Thursday for the architects. Yep. I had a couple things in September. We had talked about a strategy meeting and kind of the conversations about facilitator. I believe we'll look at doing that next year. I just wanted to kind of, as a board, and I think Director Lapierre, you discussed probably February was kind of what you were thinking.
Discussed previously as February strategy session before we jump into budget in earnest. Makes some sense.
So, I'd ask that just be kind of a pending item out there, or be there for that. And then also, I think in December, we'll have a review of the 6-month and the 2-year. I don't know if we want to call it roadmap or whatever, but we received it in the packet last month, but my understanding is there was no discussion about that or kind of review. So
We'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. There's not much more for us to tell you beyond what is embodied in those schedules, but if there are questions that are elicited by those, we're happy to answer those.
Chair Sani,
yes,
could I ask you to be more specific on the pending item for the strategy session?
I believe we're targeting a strategy session in February at this point.
And
So
a pending item to be added to the agenda, or no?
No, it would
No.
be a total standalone.
standalone, yeah,
Thank you.
yep,
It'd be a special meeting, yeah.
special meeting. It'd be for the next chair to follow through on. All right.
I do have
Discussion.
also, I brought it up earlier, but I do want to talk about economic report.
I think what you indicated, that you think we ought to renew that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't keep going out with the same old stuff and then expect people to pay attention when you give a presentation.
I don't know how people can get that done.
No, I think as long as we know and start looking for an RFP of who's gonna do it and how we're gonna do it. But make it as of June 30th, 2023, where we've got solid numbers.
What is it you want?
An economic report. So we did one 5 years ago.
Okay.
And
What?
when they go out, they're talking about, we have 330,000 passengers annually, blah, blah, blah. We know we're above that,
Mhm.
but we don't, it's not the data or the report that we have.
The data that we have comes from the master plan, and it is data. So I don't know at this point how long it will take to do that, but I think you're right.
Is it a one pager? Is it a leave behind? Is that what?
No, it's not necessarily a one pager. It can get more complex.
But you could take the one page that we have, that is the handout, and just update those numbers on it, because that's like the airport at a glance. And update that, and that's pretty good public record.
Yeah, we can take that short approach. Sure. I honestly think that at some point, you're right, we need a full study because things have changed a lot. I just don't know how quickly I can get that done, the update.
I'm not asking you to do it for next month. I'm just, I want to put it on everybody's radar that I believe we have to do it. And I just read San Diego's, and it is, obviously they have so much more money than us, and theirs is amazing, but I think they have some good bullet points in there that we have not considered. Things like social equity, and some items that are when you're going out for grant money, you need that.
Yes.
So I would just like us to look at San Diego's. It's perfectly done. And so take a look at it and kind of see how we could do it on a smaller scale for us. And copy them.
What do you use when you go out on your roadshow? Like when you're Sun Country and that sort of, what do you bring with you?
Most of what I bring with me is what Mike Bond will put together.
Okay.
The individualized.
Is it a deck specific for a meeting or is it a? Okay, all right.
It is, some of the deck is repetitive.
Yeah,
so
sure.
You've seen,
Yeah.
some of it is targeted specific.
Sure.
And then we'll backfill with other information about the community that we harvest from C Monterey.
Okay.
The cell phone data isn't quite ready, right? We had discussed that in air services, but I think that is definitely of interest when it's time to. Cell phone data.
Was a demonstration of the cell phone platform, the cell phone data platform. We were going to do that last month when Mike Bowles was here to cover, but VA ran out of time. He was just newly diagnosed with COVID, so we didn't push him too hard. But we'll get to that. This will, the Seattle meeting with first time we really used cell phone data.
Okay.
We picked that a little bit.
What's our intent? Since they just handed us a kick in the head.
I'll get back to you. The original intent was to go after this.
That's what I thought.
Now you get to
guess
go
the
after the
question
first.
is, do we even want to do it now?
No, I think it's very important, probably more important now than it was previously, because I think they're making some wrong assumptions.
Right.
And I want to get there, clear up those assumptions. They looked at our market last year in January, and we were their lowest performing market in their regional system, 60% load factors. What they didn't take into account was the reason for that. And every airline suffered that. But I think we were the victim of, to be honest, of a lack of research on the part of network planning folks. And those are the folks that we put.
I'm surprised that they don't do any kind of trend analysis, that they would just take one data point or 1 year's data and say, okay, that we're gonna make next year's decision based on what we saw from last year. That, I mean, what other industry does that?
Yeah, I know. And you know, their argument yesterday on the phone was, well, we don't see in January, we don't see the data, people from Monterey going to Seattle. They don't look at, and they don't have access to people going from Seattle to Monterey because they don't do cell phone. So one of the things.
So I think I absolutely agree. I think that you have an opportunity to educate, an opportunity to basically supplement, you know, a decision that they're making with imperfect.
Unfortunately, network planning departments are transient. And the people we'll meet with in the next couple of weeks or whenever the 6th is, are not the people we met with the last time. They were completely different. And they change regularly.
It's kind of like the rental cars hiring people and they burn
Hopefully
through.
they hire them in quote enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing how there is significant turnover. That department at every airline probably gets the most pressure. because that's who
It
generates
makes
the revenue.
decisions from that and then
Yeah.
people, there's consequences to whatever that.
Yeah, and if they make the wrong decision,
Right.
there are revenue implications and
Kill the message.
oftentimes revenue implications mean job displacement. Yeah, they're very careful, but I don't think they do a good job in some of them. Now, Americans Department does phenomenally good research. Not sure about Alaska's. This sure doesn't feel like they did much research here. So we'll go.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing, Mike, is also when you only have one flight a day and then you start canceling them, people don't think you're reliable.
Yeah.
And then they drive to San Jose where there's like one every hour. And they canceled
it
quite a
becomes a
few out of
self-fulfilling
San Jose. I just saw that.
Yeah.
I think they canceled 50% of them out of San Jose because they weren't getting the ridership. But even at that, if you've got 4 a day up there and you've got 1 a day here, my friend was here and was supposed to fly out Monday and it was canceled. So,
You know, our schedule is ill timed, which is not a good schedule.
yeah, that's the other thing. He said it's a crazy time.
If you seriously, do that. Seriously, with our schedule, wanted to go on Alaska cruise out of Seattle, you'd have to go the day before. Because our schedule does not align. It does not align with many of their flights. So our connecting. So it's not a good schedule. It's a convenient schedule for the airline.
Is that part of a roadshow deck? And we're kind of getting into maybe a larger process, but is that part of when you go to your deck or when you bring that deck and you're saying, if you guys did this is what you know.
Not during this meeting, but.
No, I know.
What we will do is follow up. What we have done in the past is follow up. We will, we'll glean from them what their thought process is,
Yeah.
and then we'll come back, modify the deck and then send it back. Right? So a lot of what we'll do in both Alaska and American, which is 14, is listen to what their concerns are and obviously state our position, state our concerns, and tell them what our goal is and challenge them to help us work on it. And, I'm a little negative on Alaska today.
Yeah, sure.
So am I.
Sure. Oh, I get, yeah, right. No.
Yeah, I will tell you that they were very clear to say, we are not abandoning the market. We still want to grow the market.
Yeah, but we just have to flex it.
Yeah. I mean, and it comes down to, you remember when Mike Bauer was here, he said it's even getting uneconomical given current fuel pricing. Fly a 70-60 airplane.
Yeah.
And between the fuel cost and the
Yeah.
increase in staffing costs.
The wet costs are going up and the dry costs are, the dry costs are also.
Yeah. And where it used to be quite economical, very economical airplane to fly, and EMD 175,
Right.
it's not so much.
Yeah.
And when they used the term yesterday, that month is revenue hell. So they cut. We are not the only ones that got that free. They're not doing Seattle to Washington Reagan. And there are a couple of other ones that they've chosen as well. They're full performers during that period. They're gonna consolidate, they're gonna do French, save their ammunition for later in the year.
I don't know how healthy they are as an airliner. I mean, I have lots of friends who are leading that, that they've been very, very loyal Alaska customers for years, and they live in the Pacific Northwest, and they're finding United and American are much better.
Well, Dino didn't hear your announcement and, he flies up there all the time.
Yeah.
He's got a second home.
Hey, Dino.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and
See, I'm fascinated by this industry. This industry is really.
wrap this up if that's okay. You can-
All right. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and close this out at 11:50. Thank you all for being here and great to see you guys here as well. Thank you.